Welcome to the OA Sponsorship Success Marathon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Francine, and I'm your moderator for the Sponsorship Success segment on job descriptions from sponsor to sponsee and back. I would like to introduce Dolores from Region 8, who will be qualifying for 5 minutes and then sharing on this sponsorship topic for 10 minutes. At the end of her sharing, Dolores will be giving 2 questions for discussion or future consideration. Thank you. Please go ahead, Dolores.
Thank you. I'm Dolores, a compulsive overeater and a food addict. I've been in OA for 39 years, and I've never left the rooms. I have over 100-pound weight loss, and I'd like to say not only an over 100-pound weight loss, I have had 100-pound hate loss. I'm a different person today than I was when I came in. I have a sponsor that I speak to once a week for 1 hour. She's my step sponsor. And I have an accountable partner that I text my food to every day. We text our food to each other, and we can be honest with each other about our food, and that's most helpful. I've had a sponsor for over 35 years who has taught me so many things. I'm so grateful to God for this program. You know, I call myself a compulsive overeater and a food addict with an eating disorder because I have all 3. I struggled when I first came into the program trying to find out what was wrong with me, and I studied and researched all these diseases, including obesity, because I'm a relapse survivor who relapsed over 25 years. I finally resigned from the debating society, as the book said, and just worked the steps and surrendered that I'm possibly all 3 of these diseases. It took me 25 years to finally stop binging on refined flour and sugar products. Even though I maintained over 100-pound weight loss, I played with 20, 30 pounds because the most I lost was 130 pounds. At the present time, I have not binged on refined flour and sugar products for 15 years. Today, I accept, like I said before, that I possibly have all these diseases, and it really doesn't matter. I believe that whatever a food plan a person chooses, that's their choice. We're all different, because I believe it's just that first compulsive bite that starts the compulsion where one cannot stop eating. Occasionally, I have food slips, and when I do, I turn to the steps. I know that it's about something that I'm in control about. My sponsor used to say to me, it's a fear of losing something or not, or failing to get something. No, it's losing something that we have and fear of not getting what we want. And I read the 12 and 12 in AA one day, and it's very, very clear. The words say, the chief activator of all defects has been self-centered fear. This is the step 7 on page 76 in the AA 12 and 12. Primarily fear that we would lose something that we already possessed or would fail to get something we demanded. So those 2 words were very important to me because when I have something or someone in my life, I saw through the steps that it was more of a possession than just having them in my life. I took a person hostage. And then the other part about failing to get what I want, I didn't just ask God for what I wanted. I demanded. It's kind of like a little teeny ant shaking her fist at a giant elephant. That's what it looked like. I've been in the rooms a long time, and I've never left the rooms, and I'm thoroughly convinced that God wants me in these rooms. And somebody said one day, let go or be dragged. And I said, that's what it feels like sometimes. I always wanted to know what my purpose was in life, and OA taught that to me. My OA sponsorship is my primary purpose. When I came into OA, I had no self-esteem. I didn't say low, I said no. No self-esteem, practically no identity, did not know who I was. And OA gave me a safe place where I could grow and change. Unfortunately, the pendulum swung, to the other extreme where I thought I knew everything. So I went from, not knowing everything to knowing everything. And all these years, the pendulum slowly goes back and forth from humility to arrogance. I think that this is how life is for most of us. When everything is going my way, I'm so happy, and when it's not, I'm miserable. When I get arrogant, and the food always slaps me in the face. So that's why I say I'm a grateful compulsive overeater, because it's like it nudges me, and then I run back into my foxhole. Today, I can still go from humility to arrogance. However, I don't stay there as long anymore. As long as I stay in fit spiritual condition, call my sponsor, go to meetings, be available to my sponsees. I heard someone say, this too shall pass when I'm in darkness. And also I heard a man speak when he's full of light and joy, his sponsor say, this too shall pass too. So I've learned that, life is full of darkness and full of light, but as long as I have my program, I'm going to be okay. I read one time where, when you get older, you're not falling down and making a mistake. You fall up. You don't fall down, because the first 40 years of our life we're taught how to live by our family and society. But the second 40 years, we write our own script. And when I fall down today, I know that I'm falling up. I'm not falling down, because I'm learning something. I'm 82, and I came into OA when I was 42. And today, through the grace of God in this fellowship, I'm writing my own script with the help of God and the OA fellowship. My sponsorship topic is job description, from sponsor to sponsee and the other way around. A little bit of my story is in my the topics that I'm going to be talking about. We talk about work. That's the first thing that came to me. Like, how can we say it's not a job? Because OA is a job to me. I prayed for many years. What is God's will for me? Was it to be married, have children, go back to school, get a degree, work in the field of addiction, have a private practice? Maybe, because that's what I did. Now I'm retired, and I know with every fiber of my being that it is God's will for me to be a sponsor. That's my job. When I was 74, a car full of my OA friends were taking me out. In fact, we were 3 cars going for my birthday, for my 74th birthday. And there was a sign on I-95 that said, and I won't mention the name of the bank, it was like a trust bank, and the sign said, Trust Bank, 74 years old and still going strong. And we really laughed, because OA is my bank of trust. We learn in OA the words, in God we trust, right? All the service that we do is like putting money in the bank for a rainy day. And I know that OA is my spiritual bank, and it's always there for me when it rains. However, it's my job also to take care of myself, being a sponsor or a sponsee. It's my job to take breaks, stop for lunch, and not work for hours without resting. I must not do everyone else's work, because they need to be responsible too. I'm a recovering codependent as well. And if you have a business, always hire codependent people and you will be successful, I was told. We work real hard to compete to be honest, the smartest, etc. OA has taught me to take care of myself first and foremost, and to teach my sponsees to do the same. I will not do everything for a sponsee. I encourage doing it for themselves. When my codependency was full-blown, not only did I do everything for people that I sponsored, I also was very controlling and told them what to do. My job is also to listen, to learn to listen. Today I try to listen more than talk. I encourage my sponsees to think for themselves and find the answer within, and they always do. When they ask me what I think, I say, tell me what you think. I have learned that the more I listen, the more I hear. I do the same at meetings. I listen. Instead of getting my thoughts together for what I want to say, when we do that, we are not really listening. We all need to be respected and heard. I find it's a good meeting when there's a lot of silence instead of everybody jumping in. When we are compulsive about sharing, we're not really listening. So to me, that's part of the job description, to listen. Honesty is another part of my job. Honesty, being honest about my food and my feelings. I had a sponsor for over 35 years, and she taught me so many things by her example. It was like on-the-job training. I needed someone who was gentle and kind because I was so hard on myself. I trusted her enough to practice my speaking up skills. She had an extremely happy childhood and laughed all the time. My childhood was negative and dysfunctional, and I had no voice. We were not allowed to get angry or cry, or we got punished. I was laughed at and made fun of by my father and brother. When my sponsor sometimes laughed at the wrong time, and it really took great courage for me to speak up and tell her what I felt laughed at and not with. I also had the courage to ask her to just and let me get it all out. I think I heard the bell there. My two questions are, do you take time out from work for meals and quiet time? Have you had on-the-job training?
Thank you, Dolores. The opinions expressed here today are those of individual OA members and do not represent OA as a whole. Please remember that we are self-supporting through our own contributions. Please use special workshop meeting number 82278 when making your contribution. The World Service Office needs our support to continue to serve our fellowship. Go to www.oa.org and click on contributions. Thank you for helping us carry the message.